Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today we'll be doing a little bit of a box office breakdown. I did my full box office breakdown for this weekend over on the Geeks and Gamers channel, so make sure you go check that out. Today I'm going to be going back into the sheets that I have set up, going into the methodology that I use to understand how much films are going to make, how much they are making, a little bit of box office tracking, and also a little bit of box office predicting as well. A little bit of an update for two of the films that I've been tracking, and also, of course, now a new film that I can add to the mix as well. So let's start off with a new film. That is Jumanji 3, technically Jumanji 3, or what I like to say Jumanji 2, because in my mind it is the second film of the new sequel era, but they're all in continuity with the original, so technically it is still Jumanji 3, which for its week one total made $212.6 million. So this is actually a number I got from the infamous and a site I don't want to use, but unfortunately it's still the most accurate site that I can find, boxofficemojo.com. The numbers is very normally the difference between what numbers we get from the numbers.com and what we get from boxofficemojo.com are usually about the same. For some reason or another, though, boxofficemojo.com has more accurate foreign totals. So as you see, for this site, the numbers, it has this set at $145.8 million. However, according to Box Office Mojo, it's $212.6 million. And so there's such a wide span there. I ended up going with the higher number because it is likely the most accurate number, because even though Box Office Mojo is now hidden behind the paywall of IMDb Pro and also has just been gutted of so many essential features, it is still going to have the most accurate raw totals, raw actual numbers. And so $212.6 million opening weekend for Jumanji 3. Very strong for that film. And then we go ahead and add the 3 here, just that way. Ooh, I want to make sure I don't screw that up. Boom. All right, Jumanji 3. There we go. And as we get the week 2 total, that number will be updated here, and then I'll be able to do my minimum and maximum projections for the film. But based on this alone, it seems very likely that the film will probably cross at least the $300 million mark by next week, and could even get $350 million, depending on how well it does against Star Wars, a Star Wars story, how it does against The Rise of Skywalker, which, to be honest, is the film I am most willing to, or rather most excited to be tracking, because we're going to be able to know pretty early on how much money that film will actually make and be able to compare it to previous Star Wars films, specifically the Star Wars films in the Disney trilogy, with the $2 billion of The Force Awakens and the $1.3 billion of The Last Jedi, and how I honestly think this new Star Wars film, The Rise of Skywalker, will in all likelihood fall underneath The Rise, or rather will fall underneath The Last Jedi, because currently the box office tracking for its opening weekend is coming in lower than what The Last Jedi made in its opening weekend. But a couple of updates we have. We have Frozen 2 and Knives Out. Knives Out is the one that we're seeing a little bit closer to the numbers as we actually have them. Frozen 2 is a little bit more difficult because we did have that weird opening weekend over the holiday, and so the numbers are not going to be nearly as accurate for that film as they have been for Knives Out. But going into those numbers, we have Frozen 2, which is now set at $1.032 billion according to the numbers.com. It probably is a little bit different over on Box Office Mojo, but because it has officially crossed the $1 billion mark over here, and also because the international number happens to be $666 million, I decided to go with this one instead. But after its second weekend, it had reached the $99.6 million mark, and because it has now crossed the $1 billion mark, now we can actually look to what the maximum projection is and what the minimum projection is. So the minimum projection, which it's just about around at this point in time, is $1.055 billion. And so that's if the film made that much money. If the film had made I'm trying to see here. So sorry, the week 2 total, not 999. That was for Knives Out. The week 2 total for Frozen 2. This is much more accurate. $738.5 million in its 2-week total, which means if you base that number, if that number is 70% of its entire total, that means the entire total would be this number, $1.055 billion. If this number is 50% of a number, it would be 50% of this number, $1.47 million, or rather $1.47 billion. And so the more that we get into these numbers and the more weeks that go by, it seems very likely that the film is at the very least going to get the average here. So this would be the 60% total. I just say average, that way it's not another number to throw at you, but it is technically the 60% number. So it's most likely going to end around $1.266 billion. It could make more than that, which is is why the max projection is 1.4 billion. But this is the number. The average number is always going to be the one that I'm most likely going to lean towards when it comes to this data, just because that's where it usually comes out. It usually makes 60% or so of the box office in the first 2 weeks, and that's the reason why it breaks down as such. Knives Out, on the other hand, is actually doing very well. It's already reaching certain milestones. So right now it's at $142.4 million, and that is at the very bottom end of the minimum projection. So now it's already surpassed that, meaning it's going to perform better than 70% in the first 2 weeks, which is a very good sign that the film will end up closer to this $170 million range. Probably will not reach the $200 million range based on the numbers we're getting and based on the rate in which it's coming in, but still a very strong showing for it nonetheless, because the film is already set to gain now $25.4 million minimum. It has already reached that point. It is now making more than the $25.4 million net profit when you take into account subtracting budget, subtracting marketing costs. Again, it is already a profitable movie at this point in time. Going into Jumanji 3, though, again, $212.6 million for its week one total. Probably going to be a little bit higher when it comes to this one. That one had a budget of $125 million, which means the total cost was $187.5 when you add in marketing. Again, that's just taking half of this number of the 125, adding that to the 125, that gets you to 187. You can see the little math equation right up here. So G5 would be the 125 divided by 2 plus G5. That gives you the total, what the general total, again, not the exact total, because obviously when it comes to these numbers, we don't have the exact marketing costs. All we have are industry standards, and what we can guess are likely going to be the numbers that they spent on it. So $187.5 million. That means that this film is definitely on pace to make a decent profit if it has already reached the $212.6 million mark. Still don't have the minimum and maximum gain quite yet, and the reason why, of course, is because we need those week 2 numbers to come in, because those are the numbers that my math equations are normally based off. There might be some people out there that have multipliers from the first week on, but I always like to see that week 1 to week 2 drop off, because in my opinion, that is the most important number, because it tells you how much legs that film actually has, what the word of mouth behind that film is, and is that film going to be able to continue to perform going forward. So anyway, that's just the update on the current box office numbers for Frozen 2, Knives Out, and Jumanji 3. What are your thoughts on this? Is there anything that I'm missing out on here? Is there a better site to use than boxofficemojo.com that gets me the same numbers as boxofficemojo.com? Let me know that in the pinned comments of this video, because those are the comments I'm able to read the most likely. If you leave a comment within the first 5 to 10 minutes of this video going live, I'm more likely to read it, and that is just because I have a lot of other things going on with a day, with my day job and having a family and dogs and all this other stuff. So please leave your comments though below, because I do want to hear from all of you. You guys are all amazing, beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.